What happens when you combine a daily listing challenge with the lead up to Q4? The answer? You get a ton of sales. So stay tuned and I'll tell you all about it. Hey everyone, welcome back into the channel. My name is Andrew, and along with my wife Jessica, we are full-time online resellers. That means we go to places like garage sales and estate sales and thrift stores, and we buy undervalued items, and then we flip them online for a profit on sites like eBay, Facebook, Merkari, and Poshmark. In today's video, I want to talk to you about a listing challenge, something that we did internally in our business to help drive sales. So our listing challenge works like this. On the first day of fall, I wanted to do something each day for 30 straight days to see if it drove sales. Now the good news is that only after a few days of doing this, we saw a huge uptick in sales. Now, I can't definitively say if it was our listing challenge that did it, or if it was the increased traffic of Q4, or a combination of everything, but we have definitely seen increased sales nonetheless. So here is my listing challenge. I broke it down into 3 parts. My goal was to repeat each of the 3 parts for 30 straight days, starting on the first day of fall. The first portion was to take my oldest 20 items in the store, end them all, and relist. I talked about this on a number of other episodes, but the process of doing this refreshes your items to make them appear as new listings on eBay. I also check to make sure that the shipping options are correct. I also go in and make sure that any item-specific fields that I didn't fill out originally have been filled out. I just make the listing as complete as possible. And quite honestly, all of the listings are pretty much done. You're just kind of going in there and making small cosmetic changes and other types of minor changes, and so the process doesn't last very long at all. So you can battle out 20 listings in 30 to 60 minutes. The second part of this challenge was to then take these 20 listings that are now considered new and cross-list them into whatever platforms you are cross-listing in. So for us, of course, it's Facebook Marketplace, Merkari, and Poshmark. And so I blasted out the appropriate items to those specific sites. I even then went one step further and to import 20 additional items that I didn't already have in Flyp and cross-list those as well. And then the last portion of the listing challenge was to list at least 5 new items per day. So again, to recap, it was to end the 20 oldest listings and relist as new, to cross-list those items into the appropriate platforms, and then to list 5 new items. The most challenging aspect of this is to be consistent with the steps. Even though the ending and relisting of items doesn't take that long, it's consciously carving out time every day to do that. The same goes for cross-listing. Even though cross-listing doesn't take that long, it's finding that time and putting it into your daily schedule to make it happen. Now the challenge for me every day is to list those 5 new items. And while 5 new items doesn't sound like a lot, we tend to be very efficient with the items that we buy. In other words, we don't have a huge death pile of unlisted items. We try to list the items as we get them so that we don't have an entire room of unlisted inventory. And even though that sounds easy enough, it can still be a challenge. But when you really look at listing, that comprises, at least in our business, of perhaps 5 different pieces. You have to obviously get it ready for listing itself. Maybe the item has to be cleaned. If it's clothing, maybe it has to be washed. Then of course you have to go through the photographing process, and if you're photographing clothes as opposed to small, maybe action figures or something, your photographic setup might change. I know that we have to adjust our backdrop and do a number of things based on what we are selling, and so that takes time. And if you're listing items that you're not familiar with, you have to research them and you have to figure out what it is that you're actually listing, and that takes time. So again, even though 5 items doesn't sound like a lot, when you actually look at that listing process from start to finish, that can take quite a bit of time. So as of the time that I am recording this video, I'm only about 6 or 7 days into this challenge. To be honest, I was doing great for the first few days. As we're dealing with things with our kids, taking them to and from work, I find that some of my time gets really squeezed. And so I was having to put in extra hours at the end of the day to make this challenge happen. There have even been a few days where I haven't met my threshold, which is fine. Again, it's a listing challenge. It's meant to spur your business into activity. But as long as I'm doing this activity daily and keeping it fresh in my mind, I know that it's certainly helping, and that's really what counts. So having said all that, I realize that at the time that I am recording this video, I haven't done any of my listing challenges for today, and I have a ton of sales to get through. And so buckle up and here we go. So ironically, the first item, speaking of buckling up, is this brass Chicago rock band buckle. And this was from their 2015 tour, and this sold for $13.99 plus shipping. The next item was this new plush navy blue Angels jet, and it sold for $16.99 plus shipping. Next up was this personalized Brandon 3D name mug, and it sold for $5.69 plus shipping. Then we had a buyer come in and buy 2 of our baseball card packs. He came in and bought both the 1989 and 1990 Donruss LA Dodgers baseball team cards, and together they sold for $5.68 plus shipping. Then we had another anime sale. This was the Dead Man Wonderland Complete Series, and it sold for $26.99 plus shipping. Following that, we had this new with tags cutting weight men's XL neoprene weight loss suit, and it sold for $37.99 plus shipping. Unfortunately, the item did get returned as the buyer said that it didn't fit, and so when we got it back, we checked it out, everything was fine, and it has been relisted. Up next was this new with tags women's 9 West jeans, and these sold for $18.99 plus shipping. After that was this Stampin' Up! Elegant Butterfly paper punch, and it sold for $12.99 plus shipping. And for whatever reason, the baseball cards seem to be doing fairly well now, so we had a buyer come in and bought 3 packs. The buyer came in and bought the 1991 Donruss Toronto Blue Jays pack, the 1991 Fleer Blue Jays pack, and also the 1991 Fleer LA Dodgers pack. Altogether, these sold for $8.97 plus shipping. The next item was this new Nature View Root View Farm set, and it sold for $18.99 plus shipping. And after that, a sale from the Shoe Palooza sale. These were the UGG Australia Purple Suede moccasins, and they ended up selling for $28.49 plus shipping. Then another one of those name mugs sold. This time it was Kyle, and this one sold for $3.59 plus shipping. And following that was a Christmas ornament. This was the 2015 Andrew Luck ornament from the Indianapolis Colts, and he sold for $14.99 plus shipping. Then after that, we had another vintage big box PC game. This was Mob Rule, the Platinum Edition, and it sold for $11.99 plus shipping. Then we had another one of those Cabbage Patch Kids figurines sell. This time it was the Birthday Party porcelain figurine, and it sold for $12.99 plus shipping. Up next was a pair of women's jeans. These were the Lucky Brand brown corduroy jeans, and they sold for $17.99 plus shipping. And another vintage pair of Levi's also sold. These were from 1997, and they were the Levi's 565 women's size 8 jeans, and they sold for $39.99 plus shipping. Then next up, we had this lot of 6 Home to Heather Creek series guidepost hardcover books, which sold for $24.99 plus shipping. And then we had this vintage New Orleans Bourbon Street hat sell. This went out the door for $9.99 plus shipping. And after that was this vintage lot of 8 Kewpie dolls, which sold internationally for $24.99 plus shipping. If you guys remember from a recent garage sale haul where we showed that huge box of LOL dolls, well, I painstakingly went through that entire set of dolls, and I separated all the dolls from all the pets, from all the accessories, and I counted up everything, and we actually had a number of figurines left over from other play sets. And this next item was one of those. This was a Disney Doorables from Series 1. It was Grandma Tala from the movie Moana, and she ended up selling by herself for $5.99 plus shipping. This next item wasn't from our recent Squishmallow haul. This was from one we did last year. This was a 2021 Squishmallows. This was Colton the cat, dressed up as a Reese's peanut butter cup, and it sold for $21.24 plus shipping. And from the Shoe Palooza sale, we sold this U.S. military cold weather field coat, and it sold for $29.99 plus shipping. Then we sold that interesting cannon book. This was that Round Shot and Rammers book featuring muzzle loading and land artillery, and it sold for $9.99 plus shipping. Then we took a best offer on this. This was a Nike ThermaFit women's size medium red fleece lined full zip hoodie. This sold for $15 on a best offer plus shipping. Then we had this pair of Democracy pants sell. These were women's 18W ankle skimmer jeans, which sold for $24.99 plus shipping. And another pair of pants after that sold. These were the Cinch Black Label jeans, the men's size 29 by 34 straight leg. These ended up selling for $34.99 plus shipping. And a single baseball card pack sold after that. This was the Cincinnati Reds team set for $2.99 plus shipping. And this next item was a consignment sale with our oldest daughter, Deidre. Shout out, Deidre. This was a Victoria's Secret pink dark gray crop hoodie, which sold for $17.99 plus shipping. After that was this 8-inch How to Train Your Dragon plush. This was Light Fury, and he sold for $7.99 plus shipping. This was by far the best sale of the time period. We ended up selling that lot of 32 Adventures in Odyssey audio CD sets for a whopping $324.99 plus shipping. And after that big sale, we went all the way down to the bottom of the barrel and sold this. It was the All-Star Dad Bear from 2006, which sold on a best offer of $8 plus shipping. And the last eBay sale from this time period was the Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles twin size comforter, which sold for $12 on a best offer plus shipping. And like I said before, I'm going to be featuring our Poshmark and Merkari sales as well, just to give you an idea of what sells on those platforms and to see what the price comparisons are. So having said all that, here are the recent sales from our Poshmark closet. Starting off, we had these Echo Yucatan sandals in the purple and fig colorway, and these sold for $40 on Poshmark. Again, with Poshmark, we don't take in shipping. The buyer does pay shipping, but it does not come to us. Because on eBay, the buyers do pay us shipping directly. I always say plus shipping, but on Poshmark, I don't say shipping because we don't see any of that money. The next item on Poshmark was this Charles Klein men's leather bomber jacket, which sold for $34. And after that, there's a Lululemon long sleeve yoga wrap, which sold for $25. And we had a vintage pair of jeans sell on Poshmark here as well. These were the 1992 Levi's Silver Tab 560 jeans, and they sold for $38. And another pair of those Yucatan sandals sold. This time it was the brown and tan colorway, which sold for $32. And after that, a pair of Echo Chase 2 shoes. This time it was the gray leather, and these sold for $35. And a great sale here on Poshmark. These were the Birkenstock Arizona gray suede strap sandals, which sold for $67. And the final item from Poshmark for this time period was another consignment sale from our oldest daughter, Deidre. This was the Kate Spade teal leather crossbody purse, which sold for $55. So as you can see, all of those sales on Poshmark were solely clothing. The only things that I sell on Poshmark, of course, are clothing, and I do list all of our coffee mugs as well. Those are really the only two types of items that I currently sell on Poshmark. And switching over to Merkari, we have a handful of sales there as well. Now, these sales aren't going to have that same higher price tag because a lot of the stuff that's sold comprised of the oldest 20 items that I was listing on that specific day. And so these items tend to be our older inventory that I have reduced at a really decent price. So the first item, or the first two items, ended up selling to the same buyer. And unfortunately, unlike eBay, where you can combine orders and send two different items to the same buyer, on Merkari, they don't have that functionality built in. In fact, one of their own FAQs says that if you want to sell two different items to the same buyer, you literally have to go in and end the two items, create a new listing featuring those two items, and then offer that to the buyer. I hope that they can build that functionality into their platform pretty soon. But regardless, the same person went in and bought these two items separately and had to pay separate shipping on them. I guess the good news is that they were priced really low, so hopefully that wasn't as painful. Regardless, they were two bath sets, both by Bayless and Harding, and altogether they sold for $9. Following that, we had a Precious Moments figurine sell. This one was called It Only Takes a Moment to Show You Care. It had its original box, and we sold it for $12. Next, we had another one of our Wilton cake pans sell. This one was from 1993. It featured a non-scary clown, and we sold it for $6. Then we had a couple of different baseball card packs sell. The first of which was this 1991 Donruss Atlanta Braves pack, which sold for $6. Then this 1999 Rookies pack also sold for $6. Up next, we had this 2016 tie Beanie Buddy, which was Fire the Dragon. It was a Great Wolf Lodge exclusive, and he sold for $15. And the last item from Merkari for this time period was also a consignment sale item from our oldest daughter, Deidre. This was the Nike Sportswear Women's Size Medium Gym Vintage Fleece Jogger Pants, which sold for $17. Whew, that was a lot of items to go through. So again, I would love to think that all of these sales were generated by the listing challenge. I know part of it was probably the lead up to Q4 and the increased traffic that usually comes as a result of all the extra eyes wanting to look online to buy stuff. But regardless, we are thrilled with all of the uptick in sales, and we hope to continue this momentum into Q4 and beyond. So that's about all that I had for today's video. I really appreciate you sticking with me to the very end. We got through a lot of stuff today. If you like today's content, please go ahead and click the like button. And if you feel moved to do so, please subscribe to the channel as well. We are inching towards our 100 subscriber mark, and we hope to hit that very soon. I talked about doing a brief giveaway when we hit that mark, so once we do, we will, of course, bring you additional details to follow on that. So having said all that, again, thank you guys for all of your support. It's great to see all of the views come in for all the videos. Drop us a comment below if you have any thoughts or comments. And as always, we will catch you on the next one.